Welcome back to Not Gaming with Boomers. Today we have another update on our diabetic cat, Shark. If you've been keeping up with the saga of Sugary Shark, we started her on the pill form of diabetic medication for cats called Bexacat. It is the first and only diabetic pill form medication for diabetic cats. There has been medication for dogs, but nothing for cats until now, so it's fairly new. And if like I said, if you've kept up with the story of Shark, she's a couple months ago, we found out she was diabetic. Her blood sugar was in the 300s, and we brought her in after she was extremely lethargic. She would lay around all day long. She had a pretty voracious appetite, but she was not gaining weight. She also has stomatitis, which is an immune system issue, where she would get sores in her mouth and on her head. And we thought it was just a flare-up of that. And when we brought her in, because those were not healing, we found out she was diabetic. And when you're diabetic, sores take a long time to heal. You're very itchy, which she was, and she was scratching all the time. She had hot spots in her paws and face. So we found out that she was diabetic, and until recently, the only solution or treatment plan for diabetic cats was insulin, because there was not a pill form. Well, recently they've come out with Bexacat, so we put her on it, and it dropped her blood sugar really well. We were bringing her in every week to check, and it was consistently bringing down her blood sugar. Her behavior improved. She was more perky. She wasn't scratching as much, etc. Then, about a month in, we found out when we brought her in that her blood sugar was getting too low. The last time that we brought her in, about a month after we started the Bexacat, I believe her blood sugar was in the high 70s, and that's really not good. And it was trending down. So there's only one dose level of Bexacat. You give one pill every day. There isn't, you can't chop it in half. There isn't a smaller dose. It's one and done. And it's so new that there isn't a lot of literature on it. So our vet, Dr. Stephanie, saint that she is, she was in touch with another vet who had more experience with diabetic cats and Bexacat. And so she was discussing with this vet, who basically said, well, Bexacat doesn't work for everyone, and the alternative is insulin shots, which we really don't want to do. Daily insulin shots. So between Dr. Stephanie and ourselves, we said, what about giving her Bexacat every other day? Now, that is not something that we could tell was in the literature to do. It was one a day or nothing. But we thought, well, it's not going to hurt anything to try it and see what happens. So that was a week or two ago, I believe, that we started giving it to her every other day. And that worked. Her blood sugar, last we checked a couple of days ago, was in the 130s or the 170s. I'm sorry. It's been a bit of a 3 weeks. My father passed away, and in another state in Minnesota, and so there was all of that to deal with. And in the midst of that is when we're also dealing with trying to adjust Shark's medication. So please forgive me if my brain is a little fuzzy on exacts, but basically what it did is, when we gave her every other day, it raised her blood sugar up to a safer level, but not too high. Also, her ketones, which is something that you pass in your urine when you're diabetic and is a problem. Her ketones had been rising even on the Bexacat, and now they're down to 0. They're normal. Really, really good. So we seem to have found a sweet spot with Bexacat. Every other day, she's maintaining her weight because we were worried about her weight loss. She's not a big kitty. And then her ketones are normal, and her blood sugar is good. So we're keeping her on Bexacat every other day. She's going to be seen again in 2 weeks. If she's still good after 2 weeks, we only have to bring her in once a month. So overall, this is outstanding news, and we seem to have found a solution with this new medication. It's so new that it's not, like I said, it's not really in the literature as to adjusting the medication like we're doing to do every other day. And Dr. Stephanie is in contact with this other vet who deals with this more and passing this information on. So if you have a diabetic cat, and keep in mind with Bexacat, you cannot use Bexacat if your cat has been on insulin. Once they're on insulin, that is the regimen, and it will stay that way. But if you have a newly diagnosed kitty and they're trying to figure out a treatment plan, try Bexacat if you can. And if it's too much to begin with, we suggest you try every other day, and just experiment a little bit with how often the dosage is, since you cannot experiment with the amount given at a time. So, but that was our success story so far. I'll update you one last time in a couple of weeks when we find out whether or not she's remaining stable, and then we can bring her in once a month. But this is a big deal if this works out for Sharp, because then other kitties can possibly stay off of insulin and use this. This is a big deal. I'm diabetic myself, so I completely understand how tweaky it can be to control your blood sugar. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for following our shark story here. She's something else, and we're just really pleased that we were able to get her under control and keep her with us a lot longer, hopefully. So thank you to our Boomer family. If you have any stories you'd like to share about your babies, or just in general, or just introduce yourself, we never get comments, and we all would just like to know whom our family is out there, because we love you all so much. So thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you very soon. Love you.